So tonight we are doing shoulders, mostly flexion. So bringing the arms forward and perhaps up, and also extension. So bringing the arms behind us. One of the main things that you will find yourself doing when you lack the range of motion in either of those movements is you'll find that you'll try to borrow it from your rib cage. So you'll shove your rib cage forward. So you may only be able to lift your arms this far up, and then you'll find yourself thrust your ribs forward in order to feel like you're getting the arms up towards the ceiling. And the same can be true here. You'll find that squeezing the shoulder blades together and thrusting the rib cage forward, or you'll find the rounding of the upper back. So some of that movement is okay, but just being aware of it at the beginning of the class so you can notice when you are doing those things and see how much can you get more from your shoulder rather than from your spine. So we'll be using 2 blocks. I have a rather light elastic resistance band. Mine is a loop. You can also use one with handles. That works well. And then I have an optional weight. Mine is light to medium weight. You can also use a block in those portions where we will be opting for the option for a block. So we're going to start kind of building on the last couple of classes of spinal extension and hip extension. Not so much hip extension today, but we will be working a little bit with spinal extension, so thoracic extension. So we're going to line our blocks up behind our back. The one closest to you can either be flat or on the long, narrow edge. The one above it can either be at the same height, you can have it slightly higher, or you can even have it slightly lower. And we're going to start with our knees bent. Prop the block up right at where your bra strap would hit if you're female, kind of in line with the tips of your shoulder blades. And then the block should be between the shoulder blades. The other block is going to support your head, enough so that your chin tucks towards your throat, so you're not getting that extension from your neck, more the gaze towards your chest. And we're just going to start with tuning into our breath. So allow the hands to rest either on your lower belly, down on the floor, beside your hips or slightly away from your hips. You can allow the eyes to close if that's comfortable for you. And just start to tune into your breath. So inhaling and exhaling out through your nose. Imagine that you're directing your inhale to where the bottom edge of the block connects with the back of your rib cage. So this is about the level of your diaphragm. You can imagine with each inhalation that you are filling up your lungs from the bottom up. Again, about that area where the bottom edge of the block hits the back of your rib cage. And we're not trying to make the breath big when we inhale. We're just trying to take it low into the lungs. And if you were to extend anything, maybe work on lengthening the exhale. So letting it slowly seep out of your nose. And then if your hands are down beside your body, adjust them so now they make a T to your body. So allowing them to go straight out in line with your shoulders. We'll take a few more breaths here. If you're feeling tension anywhere in your belly or around the bottom of the rib cage where the block is, see if you can encourage that to release as you exhale. And then finally, bend your elbows, keeping them in line with your shoulders, and just allow the backs of your hands to fall towards the floor. They might not hit the floor, but just allow them as if they would connect to the floor, kind of in line with that top block, the block that's underneath your head. And take a few more breaths here. And cross your right hand over, grab your left shoulder, and then cross your left arm on top of your right, and just rock side to side. So give yourself a hug and just rock your body back side to side. And then switch the arm that's on top. So take the right arm from underneath, cross it over your left forearm, continue to rock side to side as you grab your left shoulder with your right hand. Bring the hands down beside your body. And then reach the fingertips straight up towards the sky, wrists about shoulder distance apart. Keep the thumbs pointing straight over your head as you reach the arms beside your ears. So biceps kind of touch your ears at the top. And just allow the arms to go down beside your hips. And then keeping the elbows straight, reach the arms beside your ears. Fingers reach over your head. As you inhale, lift them up beside your ears. And as you exhale, take them down. And just notice what the rib cage does as you move with this flexion and extension. See if you can keep the rib cage connected to the block. Good. Bring the hands down beside you. Roll off to the side and remove the blocks from underneath your back. We're going to take one block and place it off to the left side of your mat, straighten the left leg, and then roll onto your left side. Your right arm is going to come and form a pillow, or your left arm is going to come and form a pillow for your ear. You can have that arm straight, or you can have the elbow bent, whatever is comfortable for you. Take your right fingertips out in front of you, in line with your shoulder, kind of tent your fingers. And we're just going to start to kind of move somatically, meaning we're not trying to do this a right or wrong way. You're just going to make a big circle with that right arm. You can allow your spine to move. You can allow your shoulders to move, your head to move, your neck to move, whatever you need to create that big circle with your right hand. And then you're going to go in the opposite direction. So it goes up and across your thigh, behind your back. The elbow can bend, the elbow can stay straight. We're not trying to over control or over dictate what this looks like. You're just creating a sense of ease, a sense of movement, kind of a release. Good. And then bring the hand back out in front of you. And fingertips to the floor. We're going to start to now really micromanage. So we didn't in that somatic movement. Now we're going to start to just notice our current range of motion in flexion and extension. So the left side is lying straight from your heel to your hip to your shoulder on the floor. The right knee, I have mine propped on a block. My fingers are tented out in front. The only thing I'm going to let move is my right shoulder. And I'm going to take it as far over my head as I can with my fingertips remaining on the floor. And my range of motion and flexion is pretty decent, but I'm being pretty honest. As I get over my head, I cannot yet align my bicep with my ear. But as I continue to go down and up, I'm getting closer and closer to getting my bicep right in line with my ear. So the next time you bring it up, pause. You're going to flip the fingers over. So now the fingernails are touching the floor. My bicep is over my ear. Yours might be slightly in front. So you're only going up as far as you can. And then just go flip the palm over both ways. So touch the fingertips, then touch the fingernails. Touch the fingertips and touch the fingernails. Do that a couple of more times. Try to keep the elbow as straight as possible. Good. Bring it back in front of you. You're going to stay where you are. I'm going to flip over so you can see what's going on from the backside view. So you're staying exactly where you are. Now you're going to take the same arm and you're going to bring it to your right knee. You're going to flip the palm up. And then slide the arm over your hip and reach it behind you. And then bring it back, flip the palm down. Flip the palm up, let it reach behind you. As soon as it hits your knee, flip the palm back up. So you're flipping the palm up to move the arm into extension. And then as you bring it back, you flip the palm back down. So do that a few more times. And again, we are minimizing the movement only to the shoulder. So do that a few more times. And then the next time you take the arm back and the palm is flipped up, go ahead and bring it to your ear. And then make that whole circle. If you're not moving the rest of your body, that arm will not touch the floor. So be honest with it. As you bring it behind you, palm flips over. As you bring it to your ear, palm is down, and then fingertips go along the floor. Good. Roll back onto your back and grab your elastic band. Take your bands and place your bands around both of your feet and straighten your legs. With the elbows bent beside your ribs, grip the band in both fists with your fists facing in towards each other. Keep the elbows bent, bring it over your head, and then straighten your arms. Bend the elbows, keeping them in line with your shoulders, and then let the elbows tap. So elbows go towards the sky, hands towards shoulders, then straighten the arms. Bend the arms, elbows tap back down the side. Pull the band towards your forehead, elbows squeeze in, then push the band over your head. Draw it down, tap the elbows. Two more like that. Noticing, are you allowing your ribs to flare as you take the band over your head? If that's the case, think of pushing the ribs towards the floor. And are you able to keep the elbows in line with the shoulders as you make this movement? And the final thing is, do you notice the difference between the arm that you've already worked and the arm that you haven't worked? Good. Let the band go and let's go to the other side. So we just worked the right arm. So we're going to work the left arm. I'm going to switch the end of the mat that I'm at so you can see me. You stay where you are. So again, your knee, your left knee is on the block. Your right arm supports your head. We're going to just do that somatic movement first. So we're not overthinking. We're not trying to control anything. We're just creating movement. So allow your arm and your shoulder and your spine and your hand and your head all move as you make a big circle in one direction several times. And then go in the opposite direction. And there's no right or wrong. You're just trying to sync the movement to your breath, sync the movement to what your body has available to it at this time. We're not overthinking, we're just moving. Good. Now we are going to micromanage it. So rest your head on your right arm. Make sure that you're in a straight line from your right heel, hip to shoulder to ear. And then tent the left finger straight out in front of your left shoulder. And you're going to start to just make a circle, a semicircle that you have range of current. So if your arm starts to go over your head and you notice that you start to twist your spine, don't go that far. Only go as far as your shoulder with the elbow straight allows you to at this point in time. Next time you come up, stay up to the point that you have access to and just flip the palm down and up. So fingernails touch, fingertips touch, fingernails touch, fingernails touch. Do that a few times. With the elbow staying as straight as possible. You're trying to get that full movement in your shoulder joint. Good. And then I'm going to flip around again so you can see what's going on in extension. So that same arm starts resting on your left hip. Take it down to your left knee and flip the palm over. So the thumb points up and back. And then reach it as far back as you can. As you can see, my hand does not go on the floor because if I did, I'd have to move my spine. So I'm keeping my spine still. And then as I take it down, palm flips down. Flip the palm open and up. Reach the arm back into extension. And then go down. So do that a few times. Just notice. Elbow stays straight. Spine is staying nice and stiff and straight. You're just allowing the shoulder to move, slight flexion, and then back into extension. And we're going to make that full circle, but we're not allowing the spine to move. So as the arm comes to the ear, palm flips down, it stays down until you touch your knee, and then palm flips up as you take the arm behind you, shoulder extension. Kind of naturally flips as you bring it over your ear. Good, and then change directions. As it hits your ear, palm goes open and up. And as it hits your thigh, it faces down. Good. We're going to come back onto our backs. Grab the band again. Wrap it around your feet and lie down. So we're going to take an underhand grip this time. So palms underneath the band, inside the band, thumbs pointing out. Move your rib cage towards the floor. We're going to start first by bending the elbows and then reach up beside your ears. So you'll do this a couple of times, bending as you bring the elbows beside your ribs and then straightening over your head. And if it feels relatively comfortable doing this, you can keep the elbows straight and pull up over your head. Notice what happens to the ribs. As you pull the band over your head, you don't want to feel the spine arch away from the floor. So only go as far over your head as your shoulders have access to. And if it's stopping before the biceps get to the ear, stop. Good. Take your band. Keep the band wrapped around your right foot and grab the band with your left hand. Knuckles punch towards the sky and just do one arm by elbow beside your rib and then punch beside your ear. You can put your right hand on the bottom of the rib cage to just see, can you keep the spine, can you keep the rib cage still as you move your right bicep close to your ear, punching the arm over your head. And then switch to your left foot. So band around your left foot, grab with your right hand, grip the band pretty tight. And let's do 5 to 8 on this side. Letting it bend as you bring it beside your rib and then punch straight up, bringing your right bicep as close to your right ear as is possible for your current state of shoulder flexion without the ribs flaring away from the floor towards the sky. Let's do one more. Good. And we're going to sit up. So coming into a seated position, legs straight out in front of you. Take your hands behind your back with your fingers pointing towards your hips. And let's start pretty close to our hips. So push your palms down, lift the top of your chest, flare your ribs, feel what it feels like to squeeze your shoulder blades together and flare the ribs forward. And then feel what it feels like to find neutral spine. So ribs moving towards your spine. So flare and then bring it in. Take the hands back a little bit. Bend the elbows, pointing them back. Lift the top of your chest. Bring the ribs in and straighten the elbows. Flare, squeeze the shoulder blades together, and then unflare. And then go maybe one step further back. And if this is not possible with your current state of extension, stay where you are. You're going to bend your elbows, let the ribs collapse towards the floor. Then flare the ribs, straighten the elbows, and bring the top of the core down so the ribs stay down. Okay. Come forward. We're going to come on to our belly. Have the band close by. And bring your forehead to the floor. You're going to take your band behind your butt. Start with the backs of your hands on the floor and then reach up and grab the band. The palms face up the first time. without lifting the forehead off the floor. So forehead is on the floor. Start to pull the band apart behind your butt. And then lift the band off your butt as you continue to pull the band apart. Reach your knuckles towards your feet, then lift your head. Lower down. Release the shoulders towards the floor. Turn your head to the right. And breathe deep into your lungs. Bring the forehead back to the floor. Continuing to hold the band the same way. First, lift the heads of the shoulders away from the floor. The heads of the shoulders are the ones closest to the socket. So lift the heads of the shoulders away from the floor. Lift the rib cage. It won't go away from the floor, but as if you were lifting it away from the floor. Lift the hands off the floor and start to pull the band apart. Lift the band further away from your butt and hold. Keep pulling the band apart. Elbows are straight. Lift the head. Lift the chest. Good. Release back down. Bend your right knee and wrap the band around the ball of your right foot. And you have to kind of, like, it's not not the ball of the foot, the arch of the foot. So not around the front of the foot, but around the arch of the foot, and then straighten that leg. You have it wrapped around your right foot. Grab the other end of the band with the loop with your left hand and straighten the left arm close to your ear. Right fist on the floor. Tuck your right toes under. Now lift your left arm off the floor into extension. So back of the hand is on the floor. You still have your forehead on the floor. Lift the right arm is off the floor as hard as you can. And then lift your head and chest. Left fist is still on the floor. Good. Lift and lower your right arm into flexion and extension. So it's not really going into a flexion, but backs of the fingernails touch the floor, and then lift that arm as high up as you can. Good. Bring both elbows to the floor, still holding the band in your left hand. Come up onto your elbows. You're going to reach the right arm forward. Bend the elbow back. Reach it forward. You're just stretching. Fingernails touch, and then elbow touches. Fingernails touch, elbow touches. Fingernail touch, lift the arm to your ear. Lift and lower, right arm away from the floor. Good. Release the band from your right foot. Release the forehead to the hands on the floor and shift your hips side to side. And bring the forehead back to the floor. Take the band and lie it over your butt. This time we're going palms down. So you're going to grab either end of the bands with both of your hands with your palms facing down. Start to pull the band apart and then lift the band and the heads of the shoulder away from the floor. Pull the band apart, then lift your head and chest. Keep pulling the band apart, keep thinking of ribs lifting off the floor, but they won't. So in other words, you're not trying to thrust them forward to lift up higher, We're working more shoulder extension than spine extension, even though there is some extension. Good. Release. Let the hands stack and your forehead stack, and turn your head to the left. Forehead back to the floor. We're going to repeat this again. So palms face down. Grab the band wider than your hips. First, lift the heads of the shoulders away from the floor. Lift the band off the butt and start to pull the band apart. Lower belly, lower ribs. As if they could move away from the floor, then lift the forehead and the chest away from the floor. As if you're punching your fist towards your feet. Good. Release. Bend your left knee. Wrap the band around the arch of your left foot. And grab the other end of your band in the palm of your left hand. Straighten or right hand. Straighten your left leg. Straighten your right arm to your ear. Pinky edge of your knuckle is on the floor. First, lift the left arm into extension. So head of the shoulder pulls away from the floor, palm facing up. And then head and chest lift up. Release back down, bring both elbows to the floor. Still holding the right fist to the ground. Ribs away from the floor. You're going to slide the left arm forward and then slide it back. Slide it forward, slide it back. So having this band in your right hand and around the left foot helps to stabilize the rest of the body so you can just move the shoulder. The next time you take it forward, keep the palm facing in, thumb pointing up, and go down and up with the left arm. Good. Both elbows to the floor, release the band off. Take the band, place it to the top of your mat. Lift up to hands and knees. Tuck the toes under and sit back into child's pose. Crawl your arms forward. Biceps beside your ears. Come onto your fingertips. My forehead is not on the floor, so this is more of an active shoulder flexion, but kind of a release as well. So sometimes creating a little bit more thoracic mobility helps us access more shoulder flexion and shoulder extension. So from this lumbar locked position, which means that your hips are on your heels, we're going to work some rotation now. If sitting your hips towards your heels is uncomfortable for you, you can take a block and prop it up as high or even stack 2 blocks so that you can sit your bottom on something so that you feel the pelvis locked into position. And we're going to I'm going to face so you can see what we're doing a little bit better. But we're going to come into a position with both elbows on the floor and our hands interlaced behind the hairline. You're going to bring your elbows as close together as they can underneath your forehead on the ground. My sit bones are still sitting on my heels. You might have them on a block. We're going to alternate twisting side to side. So you're going to rotate one elbow up towards the sky and then touch it down, and then rotate the other elbow up towards the sky. So just as you inhale, open up. As you exhale, tap down. But notice how much your pelvis wants to shift side to side. Minimize the movement in your pelvis. And you may not be able to twist that far open without moving your pelvis. So only twist as far open as your rib cage allows you access to. Don't try to force it by shifting your pelvis side to side. And just one more. Good. And then we're going to come up to hands and knees. Have a block close by. Frame your fingers to your block like this, but the block is on the floor. And we're going to back our knees up so that our wrists are in front of our shoulder. And as you tuck your toes under, move your hips towards your heels and then shift as far forward as you can. So more like a plank on your knees. So go forward and back a few times. So this is mostly flexion of the shoulders. Good. Walk the knees forward so that your elbows or your shoulders are above your wrist. Keep your left hand where it is on the block and take your right hand out in front of your mat, thumb pointing up. Lift your bicep beside your ear. Take the arm straight out to the side, thumb is still pointing up. And then turn the thumb forward and down until the palm points up the opposite way. And take your hand behind your back and hover it above your spine. And then take it out to the side, turn the palm up the opposite way and take it beside your ear. So the only thing that's moving here is your arm and shoulder. Your chest continues to square towards the floor. You're taking the arm in full rotation. And you're taking it both in flexion and extension. You're also doing abduction and adduction, but that's not the focus. Good. Next time you come to flexion, go up and down 3 times. Thumb pointing up, bicep beside your ear, spine is still. Good. Bring it out to the side. Turn the thumb down and then palm up. Bring the hand beside your hip. Palm is still facing up. Touch the floor and go back. So do that 3 times. Good. Bring it back to frame the block. Tap your elbows to the ground and then sit your hips back. Push the block forward as you take the head to the floor, and just notice the difference between your right and left shoulder. Release the elbows to the floor, drag the block closer, and then palms face up. Scoot the block forward and try to touch the thumbs to the floor. The palm, they probably won't, but try to reach all of your fingernails, including your thumbnails, to the floor. Sweep the arms down beside your body, reach towards your feet, and let the heads of your shoulders fall towards the floor. So release the tension, give it a break. Good. And come back up to hands and knees. Frame the block again with your hands. We're going to do down dog to plank pose. This time you have the option to do what we did the last time, which is to keep the toes tucked under and just reach the hips back and forth. Or you have the option to come to plank and go to down dog and plank. Just a few times. So down dog is full shoulder flexion. And sometimes our lack of ability to move the hips into that V shape is not necessarily the hips or the spine, but instead shoulder flexion. Good. For this round, I'm going to face you. So come back to hands and knees. Continue to frame the block with your right hand. Find a neutral spine, so the spine is neither round nor arched. And then reach your left arm forward, thumb points up. Keep the shoulders squared and just lift and lower. The left arm beside the left ear. Lift it, take it straight out to the side. Thumb continues to point up until it rolls down and then points back. Take the arm behind your back. Don't let it touch your back. Let your elbow bend and straighten. Take it out to the side, flip the palm the other way as you bring your arm beside your ear. So the arm rotates out at your side. As you take it behind your back, that's the only time the elbow bends. Palm is still facing up, and try your best not to let your palm, the back of your hand, rest on your lower back. Also notice how much movement is happening in your pelvis, in your spine, in your neck. Can you keep everything still and just move the left shoulder? Good. The next time you come forward, we're going to do 3 moves up and down. Thumb continues to point straight up. And then take it out to the side. Turn the palm down. And then thumb points back, palm faces up. Take it beside your hip and reach it up and back. Elbow stays straight this time. Good. Bring the hand back to frame the block. And again, elbows tap down and then hips set back. Bring the pinky edges towards the block and try to roll all of your fingernails to touch the floor. So palms are facing up and you're trying to stretch and reach your thumbs to touch the floor. You may move the block further away from the top of your head, allowing the elbows to lift off the floor. So giving the shoulders a nice stretch. Bring the hands down beside your legs, reaching your fingers towards your feet, and allow the heads of your shoulders to release towards the floor. So let the tension go. Good. We're going to come up to a seated position. If you are comfortable on your knees, you can be on your knees. You can sit on a block. You can also sit with your legs cross-legged. Grab the band with your palms up to begin with. Pull a little tension on the band, take it out, elbows straight in front of you, and bring your arms over your head. Bring the wrist out in front, palms face up, bend the elbows in. So we'll do it like this 3 times. As you bring your arms over your head, as usual, notice if you're trying to get the arms further over your head by flaring your ribs forward, just minimize that. Like flaring your ribs forward is not necessarily bad, but the goal today is to get more of that movement from actual shoulder flexion rather than spinal extension. Good. Then we're going to flip it over, go a little wider. So now palms are facing down. We're a little wider with the band. Pull the band apart as you take the band over your head. Pull it apart. Let the tension go. Tap the tops of your thighs. Pull it over your head. Pull the band apart. Let the tension go. Bring it down. We're going to do it 2 more times like that. Just noticing, can you let the band come over your head? And can you pull it apart without thrusting the ribs forward? And if you can, The next time, you can go all the way behind you and back. Don't force that if you don't have access to it. And I have a table behind me that I'm going to hit. So I am avoiding that by bending my elbows. Ideally, you want to do it with straight elbows. And you can always widen your grip on your band. Good. Take a break. So we're going to come into a hurdler sit. So right knee forward, out in front of you. Align your knee with your hip. And if you need less external rotation, bring your heel towards your thigh. You can also have the heel in line with your knee. But rather than taking the knee out further, take the heel closer to the thigh. Same thing with this knee. The left knee is in line with your hip. If that's too much, you can kick that heel closer to your hip. So find a position that's comfortable for you. Take your block and place your right hand on the block. I'm going to lean out to the side. Good. Make a fist with your right hand and take it outside of your right knee. I'm going to twist towards the right. Take the bicep out and up to your ear. Then twist the fist away from your head and bring the arm behind you and tap your left butt. Lift it up behind you. You'll have to twist behind you and bring it up to your ear and down. So when you're going from the front, you find that rotation at your ear. But as you're coming from up behind you, so that extension, you find it with the arm behind you. So take the pause to find that rotation instead of just going forward and back, right? So if you're coming from extension, you pause when it's in line with your shoulder and rotate the whole arm and take it up and through. And then as you go from the front, you pause with the bicep at your ear, rotate the whole arm and take it back. Good. Take your band. Place your band around your right palm and take it back to the block. Wrap the band around your back and grab it in your left palm, elbow out to the side, 90 degrees. Twist your whole spine towards your right arm and twist it open. So now we're not moving the shoulder, we're just moving the spine. Good. Now arms straight by your ear. Twist. Open. So now we're combining movement of the spine with movement of the shoulder. Release the band. Move the block out of the way and bring your right foot forward into a low lunge. And I'm going to face you. In your right hand, hold the band, one end of the band. And I'm not holding the end. I'm kind of holding it midway so I can create tension. So create wrap the band around your left palm, and then you're going to go open and out. Open. So you're making like an X, side to side. So the top arm is going into flexion. The left arm is going into flexion. As your right arm is teasing toward extension. One more, hold open, hold it apart. Tuck your left toes under, come up to stand. and then step forward. Take the band behind your back. Same leg steps back, so left leg steps back. We're going to start with palms up. Band between the hands. Move the band away from your bottom. Hinge forward and up. Step forward. Bend your knees into chair pose. Keep pulling the band away from your bottom, and then fold forward, allowing the arms to fall over the head. Knees can be bent or straight. So get more extension. We're pulling tension slightly on the band. The heads of the shoulders can relax forward, so allow this to be a nice stretch. But notice how much extension you have. Allow your hands and the band to kind of fall in the direction of over your head towards the floor. And you're going to come back into chair pose and see if you've brought your hands further away from your hips. Step back into that lunge. Release the band out in front of you. Pull the band tight, bring the band over your head. Release the band as you bring the hands on either side of your right foot. Step back into downward facing dog. And then lift the chest away from the floor so we're not flaring the ribs. And just notice your shoulder flexion. Are your biceps beside your ears in this downward facing dog? Good. Knees back to the floor. We're going to go to the other side. So now your left knee is in line with your left hip, right knee in line with your right hip. Adjust the legs as needed. Use your block as a prop for your left hand. And we're going to start with just a regular car of your right shoulder. So bring your fist outside of your left knee and kind of twist your torso towards your left thigh. Bring your bicep beside your ear and then twist your arm the opposite way before you reach it back to tap your butt. And then lift to shoulder height, twist the arm, bring it to your ear and down. So 4 more like that, pausing for that rotation in both of the spots. So from extension, we stop at the shoulder before we twist to lift it to the ear. And then from flexion, we stop at the ear before we take it behind us. 1 more. Good. Then grab the band, wrap it around your left palm, wrap it around your back, grab it in your right palm, hold your elbow at your side, and we're just rotating the spine. So elbow is bent out at 90 degrees in line with your right shoulder as you twist the spine towards your left hand and away from it. And then bring it over your head. And now we're combining the two. So we're going shoulder and spine. Good. Release the band for a second, move the block out of the way. You're going to come with left knee out in front of you. In your left hand, you're not holding the end of it. You're gripping somewhere where you have tension. You're going to take the band around your right hand, and then you're pulling it like an X across your chest. So going forward. So that left hand is going into extension as the right hand is going into, right arm is going into flexion. Then hold the tension, tuck the back toe under, stand up, and then we're going to take the band behind our back and lift it away from our butt. This time, palms face down. Pull, and then step forward. Move into that chair pose. Lift further away from your butt. Keep your knees bent. Allow the arms to go over the head. So finding more extension, but more of that passive extension. Keep that height as you sit back into chair pose. You may notice you're further away from your back, and then step right leg back again. Hinge forward. Remove the strap, hands to the floor, step back into down dog. Shift forward to plank. Shift back down dog. You can go knees straight or knees bent here when you shift back into the down dog. But just notice how the shoulders can move, hopefully, a little bit more separately from your spine. As you're ready, come down to knees. I had a whole plan for the block or the weight, but we'll skip all of that and just do one more thing with a block or a weight. So if you have a weight, hold it between both hands. Elbows stay shoulder distance apart. And first, just take it over your head and then pull it down beside your ribs. As you do this, we are once again, trying to avoid thrusting the ribs and just let it happen in your shoulder. And then you can make that full halo, and you can do this with your block. So take it over your head, then let the bell fall to your right. Take it over your left, elbows. So as you do this, notice how much you're trying to move your rib cage. Can you allow this movement to just happen in the shoulders? And after you've done it 3 to 5 times in one direction, do it 3 to 5 times in the opposite direction. See how far behind your head you can get it. Good. And when you're done, set it down and shake the arms out. Roll the shoulders forward, up, back, and down. And then a few times in the opposite direction. Cross your right arm over your chest, link it in your left elbow, pull to the side. And switch. So hopefully by the end of the class, you were able to feel a little bit more freedom in moving the arms separately or the shoulders separately from the spine. So maybe just test how close can you bring your biceps to your ears now with elbows straight. And then take them down and just notice how far back can you reach without collapsing the tops of your shoulders forward. Okay. Check it out. We have come to the end, the conclusion of the shoulder flexion and extension class. We'll see you next week.